We're not so much going to be doing a detailed history of Iceland as we are a big tour of Iceland's culture, some of its history, its geology and geography. There's a lot of cool stuff about Iceland, so we're going to do a big cursory overview. So we'll start with locating Iceland. So if we look here on the world map, if you look up north, you see that little white island surrounded by red highlight. That's Iceland. Get a little closer. There it is in relation to Europe. It's pretty far north. Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland, is the most northern capital in the entire world. No other capital city is closer to the North Pole. And here it is in relation to the United States. So we have Boston, New York here. And here's Iceland, so we can place it.
I just assumed Greenland was Iceland.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Iceland was so small.
Yeah, Iceland's pretty small. And Greenland, while it is quite a bit bigger than Iceland, it always looks much bigger on the map than it actually is, because in order to project a sphere onto a flat surface, it requires that you expand the size of the things at the top and bottom and contract the size of the things in the center. So when you look at a flat world map like this, Greenland looks it looks really, really big. Africa's quite a bit larger than it looks on that map. Greenland quite a bit smaller. You can fit the United States into Africa 5 times. And it's hard to see that on a flat projection. All right. So here's the elements of the flag of Iceland. So they've got fire from all their volcanoes, ice. Who wants to guess what the blue is?
Sky. Water.
Ocean. That's right. And then they've got a Christian heritage. Like most of the Nordic countries, their flag involves a Christian cross. So the population of Iceland is 364,036. Normally I would just say 360,000. But their population is so small, they need every single one of those tally floors. So we're not going to round. We'll hit it precisely because they need that figure. Ethnically, they are 79% Icelandic, 6% Polish, 15% other. In the late 90s, they were 95% Icelandic. They have opened up to a lot of immigration, specifically from Poland after 2008. So you have the big economic crisis in 2008, flattens a lot of the world economy. Iceland among them, they really got hit bad in that downturn. But when things started to bounce back, the Icelanders bounced back better than anyone. So they had a big construction boom and a lot of Polish immigration as a consequence. For a 100% literacy rate, the economy of Iceland is $21 billion. That is not bad for a country of 364,000 people. It gives the average person an income of about $55,000. So they're doing pretty well. However, in relative terms, that economy is smaller than the economy of the American state with the smallest economy, which would be Vermont. Vermont's economy is $35 billion. So Iceland doesn't even have the economy of Vermont. Population-wise, it doesn't even have the population of Wyoming, which is our least populated state. Iceland is the least densely populated place in Europe, averages about 3 people per square mile if you were to spread them out across the entirety of the island or of the island. However, most of them are in urban centers. Reykjavik has a population of about 250,000 people. That's most of the population of Iceland that's in Reykjavik. If we were to take Iceland and drop it in the United States, we could fit it entirely inside Colorado. You could go from, maybe Lyman, just outside Grand Junction, and be across the entirety of the island. So, not especially big, but it doesn't really need to be that big when you have such a small population. So, the military and defense budget. There's a reason that's blank. They don't have a military and they don't have a defense budget. They have a Coast Guard. This is their Coast Guard ship, the ICCS 4. It's a relatively new ship. It's got a crew of about 48 people. Their primary job is to coordinate safety and search and rescue operations for the people of Iceland. They do host NATO exercises. Just recently they hosted an exercise called Northern Viking. This was back in 2022. This ship participated. We sent a frigate and a cruiser, if I'm not mistaken. The Germans sent a few ships. The Italians sent a few. It's a submarine hunting exercise that we did with them. But yeah, they have a police force and a coast guard. No military. So the Icelandic language, it's a really, really interesting language. It's very closely related to Old English. It's a North Germanic language. It's on the western branch of that language. The eastern branch went with the Danes and the Swedes, whereas the people on the Faroe Islands, Iceland, and Norway, they speak the west branches. Because there's so few people in Iceland and they're so concentrated in where they live, you don't have a lot of regional variation in the language. Like with English, even American English, if you go, the Cajuns are probably the most famous example of an American dialect that's a little different. But the folks up in Boston speak differently than the folks in Los Angeles and so forth. With Iceland, not really the case. They're all very singular. The earliest piece of written Icelandic came in the 12th century. The famous sagas were orally passed down for centuries, but they were written for the first time in the 13th century. They came under control of Norwegian Danish unified kingdom and eventually gained full independence. And in doing so, they made a point to push for what's called linguistic purism, where they wanted their language to be their own. They wanted it to be distinct even from the Norwegians and the Danes. With linguistic purism, what you do is when there is a foreign word that comes into your language's lexicon, you don't adopt the foreign word. You take your own words and make an amalgamation to present that word. And one of the cooler examples of that is for the word computer. It's tova. It's a combination of the word tala, which means number, and volva, which means oracle. And it translates to number oracle. That's what they call a computer. There's a lot of languages like that. It's pretty cool when they do that. They do that with Hebrew in Israel right now. So this is what Icelandic sounds like. Have these folks do a quick poem.
Ég hef fjöllin tala við mig. Hafið hefur hvíslað til mig.
The ocean is whispering to me.
Þegar innsæi leiðir mig áfram,
And that intuition leads me forward.
einast að augnablik.
Appreciate it.
Og það til fegurð sem enginn getur lýst þegar snjórinn bráðnar, náttúran lifnar við vor. Þegar sólin sest aldrei sumrið og haustin sé ég norðurljós. Rétt áður en vetur kemur og frostrósir falla frá himninum. Mér finnst hvert skref á lífsins veg vera jafn merkilegt og að næsta. Og kannski ef ég fylgist vel með læri og get, þá opnast mitt hjarta.
So that's what Icelandic sounds like. I don't know if you could see the subtitles on that, but if anyone did you notice what they called snow? They called it ice roses. Snow. In the translation there, what they call snow is ice roses. So the ice roses start to fall from the sky, which is pretty cool. So crime in Iceland is famously low. We've just got a little comparison of crime between Reykjavik and Denver. So in Denver, out of 100,000 people, about 100,000 people, about 11.5 will be murdered. 1.3 in Iceland. Robbery, we're about 6 times more than Iceland. Assault, not that much higher, actually about 120% higher. Total violent crime, though, Denver's about 3 times higher than Reykjavik. So it's not quite as low as places like Tokyo or Singapore. Pretty low by Western standards, though. Pretty low. All Any questions about that section? All right. So we'll talk about the settlement of Iceland, the sagas, move a quick history down through the present day. So the first people began arriving in Iceland to settle in the 9th century. They think some of the first people who showed up were those Irish priests we talked about last time. They're just out on missions. Some of them stopped up in Iceland, realized people weren't there, so they didn't quite settle. It was Vikings